All right, good morning. It's Wednesday, Christmas Eve, as we used to call it when we were kids, and my last day at work today, this week. So I got tomorrow off and Friday off. Hope you do. Hope you're celebrating the birth of Christ and all that goes with that, and family. We already had our Christmas with our all of our family, and then this Christmas we'll have a little small gathering and of our local clan here in Birmingham, Aniana metro area, and looking forward to all of that. So it's gonna be a great weekend. We have a Christmas Eve service tomorrow night, 6 o'clock at our house. Just a kind of a 15-20 minute reading of the scriptures, singing, and communion. And then we're going to just hang out and enjoy just being together. So it's going to be great. And then Sunday, church. And so looking forward to everything that's going on. I absolutely love what's happening in our world right now. So hope you are too. Now, let's jump into the scriptures. We are, this passage is amazing from a gospel perspective. It just helps us understand exactly kind of what took place. So I've been feeding on this passage for a while, along with several others. We're starting a new experience, worship experience, I guess, Thursday nights, beginning in January. We're starting a kind of a series called Immerse, and it's just about kind of deep diving from a very practical, I shouldn't say deep dive like it's deeper truth, of the basics of the Christian faith. It's really designed for to help fast track as many people as possible from where they are to maturity spiritually in Christ. And what are the necessary ingredients to make that happen? How do we immerse ourselves into the culture, not of Christianity, but of the Christ following clan, the true church? How do we do that? So if you're interested in that, hit me up. So it's going to be good. It's going to be Thursday nights here, probably at our house for a minute until we find a place where we'll meet a little more regular. But anyway, that's a whole other thing. So today we are looking at the gospel again, and so we're going to pick it up in verse 20. We're in the book of Colossians, chapter 1. Paul's finished his prayer, which is powerful and full of truth, and now he's setting the stage to attack false teachers and to encourage the believers who are there. So he starts by saying that God himself is supreme in all things, everything that he created, heaven and earth and all of that. And then he says in verse 20, he says, and through him to reconcile to himself all things. God intends to reconcile all things to himself, whether things on the earth or things in heaven, by making peace through his blood shed on the cross. So that's kind of the impetus for everything that we're getting ready to look at. That was our hinge verse we looked at very quickly yesterday. So I think it's important just to kind of back up and just understand from a big picture, which we do a lot here at Daily Dose, because I think it's important to do. But sin greatly destroyed our relationship with God and with each other. But it was total devastation that took place. When God created everything, there was perfect harmony, perfect unity. It was very good, is what God said. Sin entered into that arena, heaven, earth, all of it, you and me, and it completely, utterly destroyed everything. So we live under this curse. It placed us under a curse. It's almost, if you think of like a Disney movie where, somebody's under a spell or whatever. I think they all get their storyline from this storyline. But it is as though the whole world is under a curse. And it's easy to see that, isn't it now? I mean, you can see there's a blindness about people when it comes to things of God. There's a self-absorption. Everybody seems extremely just selfish from a worldly perspective. That's all a part of this curse. And those of us who have been awakened out of it can see it. And those that haven't are still in that darkness. And so we need to understand that sin greatly destroyed everything that God had made. And so we're under a curse. We're held there in that curse by our sin. That sin has kept us in this darkened state. And I say us, those that would be us as mankind. Some of us have been rescued from that. This is the whole great and glorious gospel. But for the world and the majority of it, sin is a part of that curse that they live in. It's a missing the mark. It's not living sin. That's exactly what it means. Hermatias means a missing of the mark. It's like you were shooting and you missed the target. So we no longer hit the target of holiness and righteousness because of this sin principle. So we are constantly missing the purpose and point of life. That's what sin does. It destroys. It keeps us from meeting the standard of life that we should. To add to that, there is Satan, the evil force, the one who penetrated this world with that virus, so to speak, since we're talking, and we have virus talk going on everywhere. He infected us with that sin. And so Satan's goal is to steal, to kill, and to destroy. He hates God. Therefore, he wants everything that God created to be destroyed. He hates that too. So he comes to do three things: steal, kill, and to destroy. That's all he cares about. He cares about killing everything he can, stealing everything he can from everybody, and destroying everything. He's the most evil, vile personification of evil that there is. And then there is the world system. So it too is under the curse. So the governmental systems are under this curse. The focus of the world is on luring us away from even knowing that there is a standard, and to get our eyes focused on loving the things of the world that don't truly satisfy: the lust of the eyes, the lust of the flesh, and the boastful pride of life. Now, so then we ask ourselves, is mankind doomed to this? Are we doomed to live under this curse forever? Is that what it is? Is there a way out? Are we just, this is our lot in life? We look around and we see our friends and they're under this curse. Is there hope for them? Is there a way out? Is there hope for us? And that's what he brings to this place here. He says, and through him to reconcile to himself all things. Now, that word reconcile, it's used in several different terms, and people can give you a lot of different aspects of it. Reconcile, and you'll hear some people use it, and that it reconciles a bank account that there's money going out, there's money coming in, and if your debt is so great, and they'll refer to that as sin, that the ledger side, you're in the red, only Christ can put you in the black, right? That's how you hear that word used an awful lot. From a purely biblical perspective, it means to bring warring parties together. That's really what it means. It means to bring parties that are at war with each other together again. And so we are enemies of God. We are enemies of the cross because of this curse that we're under. And so we have no relationship with God. That's how the world is. There is God on one side, man is on the other. And there is this chasm of sin that separates us. And so we understand how desperate that is. And so he says, and through him to reconcile, that is to take warring parties and bring them together. It is Christ who is able to bridge the gap, to bring us to God and to reconcile, to satisfy all of the differences that there are. Really, it's all on our side, to satisfy those differences. And so this is the gospel. And he says this: whether things on earth or things in heaven, by making peace through his blood shed on the cross. That cross and shedding of that blood doesn't just reconcile us to God. It will, in a sense, reconcile all things to God. There is going to be a new heaven and a new earth. There will come a place where the lion will lay down with the lamb, and all of those concepts of truth that I think a lot of us already know. And so he goes into this deal of almost like, well, is there hope for us? And my thought is, yes, there is a king. There is a king seated among us. And he came and made his dwelling among us. That's what he already spoke about earlier in this deal. So we come to verse 21, and he says, once you were alienated from God and were enemies in your mind. So we already know now the Savior is the one who has made all things, heaven and earth, everything in it. He came and he lived among us. and the curse couldn't touch him because he's holy in character and he's right in all he does. This is who he's already said Christ is. And so and so he says through him he's going to reconcile everything. He does this through his blood, right? That's the anti-curse. His blood is the anti-curse for everything. It's the vaccination, so to speak, for everything that's wrong with mankind. And so, and he's going to do this for all things. Now, verse 21 tells me that I am his enemy because of my mind and my behavior. This is what he says in verse 21. And I kind of think about me, verse 21. Him is verse 22. Me. Once I was alienated from God and I was enemies in my mind. In other words, my mind was darkened. It was depraved. That's what Romans 1 says. My mind before the curse was removed by the blood of Christ, my mind was darkened. And so my disposition was hatred toward God. You may not have said those words, but I didn't like him. I want to be God. I don't want him to be. I want to be in command of my life. I want to choose what I want to choose. The heart wants what the heart wants, kind of thing. So I want. And so what I did was I had evil behavior because his thoughts aren't my thoughts and my thoughts aren't his thoughts. And so I want to be God. And because I don't even understand what's going on, I choose sin at every turn. The world, the flesh, and the devil. I suck myself right up into that. My mind is darkened. And this is what he says. That is everyone that you meet that doesn't know Christ. They may talk morality. They may do some right things, but their mind is darkened and their disposition is evil. That's how God sees it. That's where we are. Verse 22, but now he has reconciled you by Christ's physical body through death to present to you holy in his sight, without blemish and free. So what does he do? Well, there's a warring party. This is who I am. My mind is darkened and my behavior is not pleasing to the Lord. So there is this chasm. And we needed a mediator. We needed somebody that could mediate between us and bring us together, to bring us to God, rather speak. And so this is verse 22. But now he has reconciled. He has brought the warring parties together by Christ's physical body. He says that to jab at the false teachers who were acting like he didn't have a physical body. Through death, to present you holy in his sight, without blemish, and free from accusation. That's the gospel. This is what he came to do. He came to present me holy in God's sight, so that his blood, as it saturated my life, gave me the ability to stand in the presence of God. So there is that I'm presented as holy. He's declared me holy. I can stand in the Holy of Holies with God the Creator, not because I am holy, but because the blood that removed the curse from my life has so saturated me that when God looks at me and I'm in his presence, he sees nothing but holiness. Even though you and I both know I ain't holy, but I'm declared holy and he's making me so. So he says, I have been declared holy in his sight, without blemish. That is that I'm unblemished. There's no the marks of sin, the scars of sin. They're gone. I've been healed by his stripes. I was healed. That's what it means. Not the physical healing right now today that everybody wants to claim that verse means. It means that by his stripes, my scars have been removed. I stand unblemished. My past is no longer weighing me down. It is gone. It's been scrubbed. It's been bleached. There is so that God sees me as perfect, unblemished. This is crazy. So the effects of the curse has been removed. And he says the last word, free from accusation. God's no longer mad at me. God's no longer, his wrath is no longer aimed at me. He's not, there's no accusation that he's going to bring against me because the blood of his son constantly cleanses me from all sin. If we understood that, we would desire to live so much more holy and righteous as a result of that. This is what he's called. This is what he said is true of us. And then he finishes up in verse 23, if you continue in the faith. So there's this caveat. It's not that we have been given this and now we have to keep ourselves holy. It is that those who stay in the faith will continue to move toward that. Everyone who has this hope, this is how John the Beloved describes it. Everyone who has this hope purifies themselves just as he is pure. So he has given me, it's not like he's given me this, now I have to take it further. But there is an element where we work out our own salvation. We do die to self so that Christ is more alive in us. We do bear fruit. There is evidence of this that's demonstrated because we continue. You see a lot of people who made a turn for a moment, a season or whatever, and they no longer are walking with Christ and they're back in the world and all of that. That's a reality that they did not continue in the faith. They weren't, and it's not that they had salvation and lost it. It evidences that they never had it. One of the evidences that we are Christ followers is that there's no quit in us. Though he slay me, yet will I trust in him. This is what it means, that he's my only hope. And because of that, I've now become a God chaser, so to speak. He chased me and found me dead in my trespasses and sins. And now as I'm alive, I chase him. I follow him, right? You remember that word from the Gospels? Follow me. Follow me. That's the whole deal. If we continue, if it becomes our habit that we continue to follow him, established and firm, and do not move from the hope held out in the gospel. So we remain like he describes, and the evidence of that remaining is because we continue. And so that's the point. If we continue in our faith and our action, hoping in the gospel. So this is the essence of everything. He says, this is the gospel that you heard and that has been proclaimed to every creature under heaven, and of which I, Paul, have become a servant. And that's the gospel. So the gospel is that we were under this curse. He freed us from this curse. And if we continue in that freedom by allowing the blood of his son to constantly cleanse us from all sin, to be repenters, not one who repented in the past, we have confidence that the gospel has found its mark in our life. And that confidence in that gospel is a game changer for you and all of those around you who can get caught up in that by virtue of a life well lived. And that's the story that I wanted to share with you today. Man, I'm loving this book. It's so rich, and I want you to just saturate yourself with it. We're taking this weekend off. It's Christmas season. Tomorrow's Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, and then the weekend. So I will have a pause on this, and I'll see you Monday. Merry Christmas to you. You guys have a great holiday season, and some of you I'll see, I think, throughout this weekend. Love you guys. Have a great day, and I will talk to you soon.